Michael Nagy here with Jiggy Jag TV and DiscoveringBands.com. And for everyone watching, share this video on my channel and help support the awesome bands that I feature. And today I'm here with Dual Analog. How you guys doing today?
Good. How you doing?
Good, good. Great to have you. And you want to start off and give us a little history about the project to start off with?
Sure. So I'm Chip.
I'm Curtis.
We're Dual Analog. We started, well, we've known each other since we were kids. So first grade, I think even kindergarten, all the way through the present day as old men. We've known each other. So we've been friends since fifth grade. From there, we just kind of like would hang out, listen to music, play Xbox. And then around sixth grade or so, we decided we wanted to start a band. And we were just kind of playing wannabe new wave of British heavy metal type riffs and songs, and no vocals, no really nothing really. We didn't even have drums for a while. It was just the two of us.
Yeah. Playing on guitar, two guitarists, and that's it.
Two guitarists and a bunch of riffs and some terrible solos, mostly by me. The terrible ones. Curtis wrote the good ones. He knew how keys worked. And then in college again, we started back up as a melodic death metal band called Symmetry. Put out a couple albums and then sort of rebranded after college as Perfect Zero, and we put out an EP, and that project kind of had run its course and was getting a little bit too difficult to manage from a personnel standpoint. So when that project ended, we still wanted to work together and just kind of write without having to worry so much about pleasing sort of everybody else in a group, and also just sort of write interesting music that we found inspiring. So that's when we decided to Dual Analog. And then 3 years later, here we are now with our first debut album.
Yes.
Awesome. I see you guys are classified as Turbowave music. And what kind of, tell us everyone about that genre.
So Turbowave is a genre that we sort of coined. We couldn't really narrow down what exactly our sound was.
I always have a hard time describing what we're doing. It's a blend of a lot of different things.
Sort of the way that I always describe it is new wave meets heavy metal. And then depending on how adventurous I feel, then I'll say with industrial and world music thrown in. But that's only for people who are like into that. For regular people, you just say new wave and heavy metal. And you're like, oh, and industrial, they're like, what? And then they're turned off. But we were definitely a synth-heavy band, and there was guitar in there, and at times the guitar would be a little more upfront, and at times it would kind of stay back a little bit. So calling it synthwave metal didn't really work because it wasn't exactly synthwavy enough to be synthwave, and it wasn't always metal enough to be metal. So it just made more sense to say, what if we call it something different? We'd call it, like, we sort of toss some stuff around. We're like, what about wave core? Well, no, it's not really core music. What about power wave? I don't like that because that sounds like white power, and I'm not into that. So we're like, what about turbo wave? And we're both kind of like, yeah, okay, turbo wave. So that's what we went with. Plus, it makes me think of Judas Priest's Turbo record, which had heavy metal guitars with synthesizers and drum machines. So it just kind of made sense.
Yeah, what are you guys currently working on right now?
Working on just sort of hitting the promo really hard for our record, getting some more shows booked. We're about to release a music video in about 3.5 weeks. We just got back today for our song Into the Unknown off of Lust Worship Desire. And then around summertime, we're going to be shooting one for the title track as well. And then working on material too.
Lots of new material. It's always there. There's so much.
It's just going to be a matter of finding what material that we've been working on and seeing what sort of works together in an album and what works sort of on its own as just sort of a single or more of an outlier song. And then whatever sort of makes sense to be together, we'll put those together and then fill in the gaps wherever we need to. And then everything else can either be released just sort of as its own track or have saved up for the next record.
And tell us a little more about the song and video you just shot that's coming out soon.
The song is Into the Unknown. It was a Curtis song. He wrote that one. When he presented it to me, it took actually a really long time to come up with the drums and the vocals because Chris tends to write on sort of the offbeat.
I write really weird and it throws him off. I'm like, no, keep it. It's great.
And it doesn't mean that he doesn't write in time. He just sort of, the one is, the groove of it kind of is a little bit kind of difficult to latch onto. So I always have to spend, not always, but I often have to spend kind of a really long time sort of being very careful about where the vocal is and what the one is and where the one is from the drums, because I program 90% of the drums and the percussion is me programming it and sequencing it. And then I write all my own melodies and harmonies. So what he gives me is usually a lot of pads, and it's a pretty complete written song, and then it's kind of up to me to put it together into a nice little box.
Yeah, you add the groove. I just come up with some melody or chords or something. You add the groove. Me.
Yeah, it's there's what he gives me, I always have to make sure that I take enough time with, because typically when we put our heads together, that's when the best results come out. And it's especially the best results if it takes a while to get there. And I think with Into the Unknown, it's one of the heavier songs off the record. It's one of the more synth-heavy songs off the record. It's super melodic. It has a pitch and guitar solo. And so it's kind of the quintessential or a quintessential sort of dual analog Turbowave song. And so it just made sense to have that be our third video. And it was even more appropriate because it's a Curtis song. So Curtis that's one of his. We
have a song.
We write and we collaborate together, and we present each other with ideas. And sometimes it'll be a complete song that I'll give to him, and he'll say, "Yeah, okay, cool." And then he'll just sort of make little edits here and there and add his own spin on it. And sometimes it'll be a part of a song that I'll bring to him.
Or sometimes we'll just completely chop it up and say, "No, I don't want that. Let's move this over here."
Yeah. So
mess around with it, whatever.
So we all sort of share, wherever something is lacking with one person's song, the other person will fill in the gap. So to say it's he wrote this, I wrote this is kind of like,
well, sort of. I mean, one of them, it's going to originate with one of us, but we're both going to input. That's how it becomes a dual analog song.
Yeah. So Into the Unknown is it's one of those songs, and the video is different than the last two, but it definitely feels like a dual analog video. I don't want to spoil too much. We worked with a different director for this one, Ryan Healy. He was incredible, and we sort of let loose a little bit more with kind of letting our all-star backing band collaborate a little bit more with us. So Sarah, our live drummer, I kind of work closely with on conceptualizing everything and sort of bounce ideas off of her. So we have a very it's a very dark video, but it's also uses a lot of hypercolor, and it's easily the sexiest dual analog video to date.
It is, yeah.
Yes. It's extremely sexy.
It looks like your other two videos have a lot of views, which is awesome.
Yeah, they've been doing really well. It's hard to sort of try and figure out the formula. You just kind of have to do what feels right, and if it doesn't feel right, then that's when you kind of have to step in. But with those first two videos, especially 100 Disciples, that one just sort of came together, and it was fun because that was the first video we shot, even though it's the second song off the record. And it was just sort of a way for us to all meet together and perform without actually having to play the parts correctly.
We didn't. When we shot that video, had we practiced yet?
We had one rehearsal with the full band.
So it was real early. Yeah.
But it was just a great way to sort of loosen up and kind of get to know each other a little better, and just sort of see how we work while we're performing. And everybody did a great job and seemed to really enjoy themselves. So that's and that comes through in the final product.
Yeah, excellent work on those videos. Now, if people want to look you up online, find your music on social media, how do they do that?
Best way to get a hold of us is on Facebook or Instagram. We're on Facebook.com/ what is it? There's so many streaming and so many social medias that I lose track of which one is which sometimes. Where are we? Oh my God, we're live. Facebook.com/ dual analog band. And then on Instagram, we're at dual analog. Pretty easy to find us. Those are the best ways to get a hold of us. And then YouTube as well. We're all across social media, and for streaming, we're on every streaming service. I always recommend our Bandcamp link because that way you get the highest quality. He's laughing at me.
That's what I was going to say. Definitely Bandcamp.
Yeah, Bandcamp is the best way to purchase and to stream because it's going to be the highest quality that you can get. But normal people don't know what Bandcamp is. You can't tell a grandma, go to bandcamp.com. She's going to say, what's that? Grandma will know what iTunes or Pandora is, or Spotify.
Or a CD.
Or a CD.
Yeah, we have CDs.
We have CDs.
Well, most of my fans know Bandcamp, so most of the people watching can go to Bandcamp.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. They can go there. Yeah, Bandcamp is it's a great platform for just kind of a simple one-stop shop for us. So I recommend going through that. But we're very active on social media, Facebook and Instagram. So if anybody has a question or wants to reach us there, then that's a great way to get a hold of us.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to what you guys have coming up in the future. It's great having you, and everybody look them up.
Thank you.
Thanks.